Here is the 2024 Acura MDX Advance in majestic black over espresso leather. The Advance is not going to have the sporty attributes on the exterior or the interior as the A-Spec would get. It will be more for a luxury drive going against Mazda, Infiniti, and even taking it up a notch to Mercedes and BMW. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to explain some of the comparison between the different variants and even touching bases on the new Honda Pilot to show you some of the differences that you'll get with that opposed to the MDX. In the front, you're going to receive the same dual LED headlights, chicane LED daytime runnings, and LED fog lights. 7.3 inches of clearance is going to be standard. 6.4 inches is the lowest it can go when you option the Type S, and it raises all the way to 9.4 inches, which is the first MDX that has ever had an adaptive suspension. And it's the only model that you can get that. Even when you go into the Honda, the Trail Sport will increase the ground clearance, make it more rugged, but standard clearance is going to be the same as the MDX. And the diamond pentagon grille will get the gloss black elements surrounding with the chrome treatment, and even on the lower, because this is the Advance, which also will add the 360-degree reverse camera, front and rear parking sensors, 20-inch alloy wheels with acoustic front windscreen and front windows, LED turn signals on the power folding side view mirrors, and the chrome that's going to surround and wrap around all the window treatments and on the lower trim. If you need it to be more aggressive, you go to the Type S, and then you'll get some black elements that will just give more of a sporty attribute. Lightweight wheels, Brembo brakes with 4 pistons in the front. The disc is going to be over an inch more in the front than on the standard MDX. And the Honda Pilot will have 5 horsepower more than the prior gen at 285 horsepower. Here, you get the 3.5 liter V6 VTEC engine with 290 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. You'll also have 5 pound-feet of torque more in this. The same towing at 5,000 pounds, and it will have a very similar attribute on the side. And this will have about 50 horsepower less than the new CX-90 Turbo, 5 horsepower less than the QX-60, and that one's going to tow the most at 6,000 pounds. And if you go to the Germans, the BMW X7, 85 horsepower more. The same thing with the X5. The rear gets chicane LED taillights. Chrome is going to surround the top part of the bumper. Dual exhaust outlets. Power liftgate going into 16.3 cubic feet of storage. You'll have a nook on the side, 12 volt, and underneath you have some storage. It will not be like the new Pilot where you could store the second row center seat, but it does have the weatherproof where you could do the reverse. Split fold the third row in the back at a 50-50 split, increasing cargo to 39.1 cubic feet. Fold down the captain seats, and that will max cargo to 95 cubic feet of storage. Let's go inside, start up, so you can hear that exhaust note. Sixteen-way power seat adjustments, leather bucket front seats, heated, ventilated in the espresso color, contrast stitching and piping. Headroom is not going to be an issue for tall people, nor is leg space, and they carve it out literally in the center. I have my bags, and you can see you'll still have leg space for the passenger. The dashboard of the MDX will be a little bit more luxurious than the Type S, but you'll get the gloss black elements that run down the center with the wood inlays, 12.3 infotainment screen with Acura True Touchpad. Gloss black around the dynamic modes, which when you change them, it gives you a video for the snow, comfort, normal, sport, Sport Plus will only be on the Type S. Dual climate control settings. Open that up. You got USB ports. And going into the true touchpad with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, Acura Link, and Cabin Talk, which when you click onto that, you can talk to the backseat occupants. It'll lower the radio so that way they can hear you without screaming, because it's a pretty large vehicle in this interior. Put it into reverse, 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. You can also click the camera button right here, the same as the Honda Pilot, and you have different camera layouts. I can get this true touchpad to work. There we go. Oh, and that's what I mean. I prefer touch screen opposed to the touchpad, but it's still doable, just a little bit to get used to. Storage pocket right here that you can fit the key fob to the new MDX. QI wireless charger with the palm holder, and it's soft to touch. It opens up into a smaller storage pocket for a small phone and some pins, and opens up to a deeper pocket with a 12 volt and a USB. The Honda Pilot will have a larger storage capacity. On this side, you'll also have your 12 volt charger, which if you want to run a radar detector, you can do so. Heads-up display and a digital gauge cluster that can go through an array of information for the driver, and it also changes the layout with the different mode settings. And it's live. Leather-wrapped steering wheel, heated, multi-function with adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, paddle shifters. It will not have the Type S badging or the flat bottom, but it still has all the luxury amenities captured because you're getting all of this in the Type S Advance. Door panels start with the gloss black that integrates, and then you get the wood that inlays. With the ambient lighting, it's 21 different ambient lighting schemes. ELS studio sound system, 17 speakers, one touch up and down for all the windows, and it's going to be more sporty. The storage pocket, you can fit a beverage holder, and you got some storage back here with a large panel moonroof and a edgeless auto-dimming rear view mirror. For the second row, headroom is not an issue, nor is leg space, but if I want to make room for occupants in the third row, I need to move up, and then it can be questionable. When you fold this down, you'll have some storage for the back and cup holders. Otherwise, it's going to be a third seat with your third climate control, heated rear seats, air vents, home plug, 12 volt, USB, and storage behind both of the front seats. The door panel starts off with the manual sunshades. You're going to get the same materials that's found in the front with the wood and the soft materials, and a storage pocket that can fit about 2 beverages with a larger storage right in the front. Sliding this up so I can see how I sit in the center, the floor is more or less flat and you have plenty of feet space. The rails are pushed up. Butt space and shoulder space is also good because it's a wide interior, and the same thing for headroom, in which you can also recline the seats. And demonstrate over here, it's a little bit easier, and then nobody can fit into the third row. The nice thing about the Acura, you fold this and then you pull the lever down here and you can pull this out, so you'll have captain seats standard, or you can have a bench. The disadvantage is the Honda Pilot goes the extra extent, because where are you going to put this? You can't fit it in the cargo on the MDX, but you can on the Pilot. Entering to the third row, push the button, it's going to slide forward. It's going to be a little bit tight for somebody that's 6'3", but it is still doable. Once you climb in, the rails are pushed back a little bit, and there's also this wall right here, and you have another little wall right here with a cup holder, ELS sound system with a USB on both sides. Larger window, and headroom isn't actually too bad. It's just going to be a little bit tight for 2 occupants in the third row. And to get out, simply push the button and free yourself. The Acura MDX Advance, 290 horsepower, which is 5 horsepower more than the Honda Pilot, and you're 65 horsepower less than the Type S with the dynamic dampers, and the whole layout to that vehicle is going to be just more dynamic, and it's really going against the German rivals. Like I was talking on the exterior, it's because it's such a great value of what you're getting. When you get into the Advance, you are starting to go more into the luxury. When you have the A-Spec, you get that on the exterior and the sports seats. The Advance will give you the sports seats in the interior, the ELS 16 speakers, heated and ventilated front seats, power seat adjustments. You're getting quite a bit when it comes to adding that package or going to that level. Going against the Mazda CX-90, I like the interior of this a little bit better. The sit to that one, both of them you actually sit up a little bit higher. The QX60 Infinity, you're gonna sit down a little bit more so. This is going to feel very similar to the Honda Pilot. You're gonna have the same ground clearance unless you do the Trail Sport. The suspension here will be a little bit more smooth. The Honda Pilot though is catching up. You actually will get a little bit more amenities in the interior for storage capacity and to put the rear seat in the cargo. You can't do that in the MDX, which takes me to some pros and cons. Starting with the pros on the MDX. When you option it with the Advance, you're getting all the bells and whistles. On the exterior and on the interior, 5,000 pounds of towing, so it's right on par with the rivals. The pricing, you're in the mid 60 grand, which is fine because this is a luxury vehicle. You sit up quite a bit. You have plenty of cup and bottle holders throughout the vehicle. Even in the third row, you still have charging capabilities. Going to some cons, non-touchscreen, you can't put that second row center seat in the cargo like I was saying. The storage here in the front is a lot less than the Pilot. But before we go any further, we're gonna see the performance of 290 horsepower. It's not gonna feel as athletic as the Type S, so don't expect that. But it still has a decent amount of performance underneath it. It's gonna feel a little bit heavier than the Type S, but at this price point, all the vehicles are going to really perform very similar. And you still have the sport essence in this vehicle because when you put it in sport mode, it changes the dynamics very similar to the CX-90 Infinity. It doesn't actually do that. Going back to some cons about the vehicle, Honda for the Pilot has increased horsepower. For the MDX, nothing. It's just a carryover. And it would be nice to take some of the attributes that they have done for the refresh of the Pilot and put it into this vehicle because it really was impressive how the Pilot has went to that level of class considering it's more of an everyday car and this is the luxury line. Taking me to some other cons, a lot of the parts that's inside here comes out of the Honda, like your seat switches, the stocks. But things that I do like, you're getting larger screens. The dynamic mode, the way they place it, it really makes it more sporty because it feels athletic inside the interior. The gauge cluster, everything's live. You can see the vehicles also inside, so it has some similarity to vehicles that are priced out $10,000 and $20,000 more. But we gotta put it into sport and give her a go. The sound deadening is pretty good. I like the adaptive dampers on the Type S. I found it to be a little bit more smooth because you can raise the suspension quite a bit. And if you lower it, it gets a lot more aggressive. So I do like that. Visibility in the front is good. It's a flat hood layout. Blind spot monitoring, I like that it's inside the vehicle. I don't have to look so far out. The heads-up display is large enough so I can see everything right in front of me. To check the brakes, these are not Brembo. It's gonna feel a little bit more heavy, but you're also expecting that. It just matches up with the rivals. You're around 170 to 175 feet stopping distance from 70 to 0. Turn radius is going to get right at 2 lanes. Rock and roll. So if you want to get an MDX and you don't need the performance, I know it sounds like you're sacrificing quite a bit, but you're getting all the same amenities in the Advance. And you're saving around $20,000 from the Type S Advance, which would give you all the bells and whistles. Going back to the rivals, The Infinity is going to be a little bit more spacious in the second row, but the third row you have a lot more space here. The same thing for the Mazda CX-9, it's going to be smaller in the third row. The only disadvantage here is the way you kind of sit a little bit more inwards and the way the rails are positioned, but you're kind of in between them, so it's not too much of a problem when you're going on a long journey. Another big pro about this vehicle, just like the Honda Pilot, is you can push on the stock for your camera so you can see everything around you when you're at lower speed. So there is a lot of pluses when you're considering the new MDX. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Regal Acura for giving us this 2024 Acura MDX Advance for our car review.